Welcome to the Good Roads podcast, and welcome to your bulletin breakdown for May 11th, 2026. I have nothing smart to say this day or this time, so I'm just going to introduce our two, what do we call you guys again?
Contributors.
Thank you,
Hosts?
Mr. Thomas
Anchors.
Bearcat. Anchors? Hey, anchors. I like
DJ.
that. There you go. That make you guys sound more important than you actually are.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we're not being called podcasters.
I can assure
All
you,
right,
we're
our
not
two
important at all.
podcasters, Mr. Thomas Bearcat, Mr. Andrew Blackburn. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
No, can't complain, Jared. Can't complain.
Yeah, same here.
It's a Friday, beautiful weather before a nice weekend. Not a long weekend, but
the long weekend's coming up. I think we're looking forward to that one.
well,
Yeah.
just remember, we're here for a good time, not a long time.
All right.
So have a good time. The sun might, I don't remember the rest of the song. Anyway, are we ready to ready to light this candle, get this thing going, guys?
Let's do it, Jared.
All right, terrific. Let's jump right into article number one. Ladies and gentlemen out there, if you remember, we have 3 articles. We give our contributors, our podcasters, 5 minutes each to discuss this, and I try and keep it within 5 minutes, but they sometimes get excited and go over, so we'll forgive them for that. So, jumping into the first article this week, The Slow Road to Safer Streets. Gentlemen, I have 5 minutes on the clock. Let's get this going in 3, 2, 1, go.
Thanks, Jared. Yeah, so the EU just released its road fatality numbers for 2025. Now, I will just say these are the preliminary numbers, and on the surface, it does look like pretty good news. But Europe, I would say, is generally more ambitious with this than we are. So, might not be living up to what their expectations are. So in 2025, roughly 19,400 people died on EU roads, but it's about 580 fewer than the year before. And that's a 3% decline. That's almost like an Ontario-sized decline. Like I think Ontario had 500 something fatalities in the last.
We consistently have 500 to 600
Yeah,
deaths.
yeah. So it's like an Ontario-sized decline in their fatalities, which for them is about 3%. So it is. I would say, oh, that's great, but in their, I guess, lens, it's not. It's nowhere near the speed or the pace that they've set out for their own kind of goals, right? So the EU's Vision Zero framework actually commits to having the number of deaths and serious injuries by 2030, and then reaching zero fatalities by 2050. So at the current rate of decline, it's actually not looking like they're going to meet those 2030 targets, which is kind of disappointing. But again, by North American Ontario standards,
and it's also important to note that EU didn't have this huge spike that we had in North America during and after the pandemic. Like United States and Canada to a lesser degree both had like crazy fatality spikes during and then in the immediate aftermath after the pandemic, and there was like a weird shift. But in the EU, that never really happened. They just sort of have this like consistent sort of like angling downwards, and I feel like the gist of this article is that it's kind of plateauing, and they're not like they want it to keep on going. I wanted to provide a little bit of extra context here because like it's kind of funny as I was looking at these numbers, because like Europe is a big place and there's a lot of different variability in the roads, and they're sort of brought down statistically. Like it's good in the north. And it's like, there's your states like Romania and Bulgaria that are bringing down the average, and deaths are still high there. But it's important to note where we stand in comparison. Looking nationally, so we were talking about this 100,000 deaths per road fatalities per 100,000, not 100,000 deaths, road fatalities per 100,000 people metric in a previous conversation. We were talking about how America skews their stats by using kilometers driven here. So all of this, all of these metrics in the EU are based on this 100,000 population metric. Now, those on a Canada scale, those low countries, Romania and Bulgaria, still rank higher than the lower provinces in Canada, like Saskatchewan and the Maritimes, where it's closer to like they're around 7 or 8 deaths per 100,000. It's kind of similar to Saskatchewan, and it actually gets higher. But it's very, very important to note where Ontario ranks first in the country on this metric, about 4.5, but it's very, very segmented. We kind of got in this before. Once you like, if you take out the GTA and just look at the rest of the province, we're actually worse than those worst countries in the EU that are bringing their stats down. Like,
so you're saying specifically Northern Ontario is worse than the worst EU country in terms of road safety.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah. So the GTA is really, really good, and this is like really brings down our average. And
where would the GTA rank in that then?
The GTA would be like with the rest of like Northern Europe and even with Sweden,
so like the leaders then.
Yeah, just because we have the population density and the amount of deaths, like the road safety principles are actually very, very good. So we're actually like right up there in the GTA. And then once you section that out, like if you look at rural and Ontario, we're actually worse than the rest of Canada. And when it comes to these, we're getting above 10 10 deaths per 100,000. And in northern and rural, if you actually just look at those, we're actually as bad as the worst of the United States, like the southeast, where the people are dying. Like that's the comparator for the north and rural Ontario.
All right. So but one point I was trying to make, but you just went on and on there, Andrew.
All right, just got on a roll.
One more. There is a similarity here between. The reason why I had brought this story forward was there's actually a big similarity here between Ontario and the EU, which is that rural roads account for more than half of all EU deaths, which is same thing that we kind of have here. You kind of touched on it in the terms of disparities. You're talking about north versus south, whatever. But basically, same reasons. Weaker infrastructure and higher speeds. And then
very familiar story. Yeah, it's a lot of aging infrastructure, which is the exact same thing we're facing here.
Yeah. So
all right. Excellent, gentlemen. And Good Roads has been working on the Rural Road Safety Initiative for a little bit now, right?
Been a while. Yes, we're very familiar with that topic and that challenge, I should say, which is I wouldn't say it's nice to see that it's an issue somewhere else, but we talked about how Europe is, they're just a lot more serious. This is very generalizing. They're a lot more serious about road safety than we are in North America. And just seeing that they also have some similar kind of issues here.
And like there's actually like what's the opposite of a silver lining? Like a dark lining on the good road safety record in the GTA is that it actually makes Ontario look a lot better than it could be. So when we have all of these good scores, and then we go internationally and we can still say like we got the safest roads in North America. So it's like, well, we still have some extremely dangerous roads in the north that rank with some of the worst roads in North America. So
11 and 17. Anyway,
no, it really skews where the problem is and how severe an issue it is.
Well, the good news about this also being an issue in the EU is that we have partners now that we can work with to find solutions. And if they have a solution, if we have a solution, we can at least work together to find make these numbers go down.
And then one final thing. I mentioned at the very start of this at the top that these are the preliminary figures for 2025, which we will note that it is May, so only 5 months into the year. They're supposed to have their full consolidated data by the fall. So,
which is,
I'm just, and this is from how many countries are in the EU?
Countries.
Yes,
exactly. So, we got one provincial jurisdiction, and we got to wait 3 years.
All right, we're gonna cut it right there, just because that's some water I don't want to be treading in. Let's move on to the next topic. We're going to move a little bit west, probably straight across west to Wisconsin. So apparently Wisconsin recycling facilities post the world's most specific speed limits. This sounds really interesting, gentlemen. I got 5 minutes on the clock. We're going to get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Yeah, well, we've been talking a little bit about speed limits lately, especially when it comes to highway speeds and then reducing speed limits. We were talking. I think it was just last week. Actually, we were talking about the successes that a lot of these jurisdictions have had. Now, the thing is, when you're driving along, the roads permit you to drive faster, but you think what a speed limit is here and a speed limit is there, and then you see a sign coming out of the side of your eyes, and it says 17.3, and you're going to go, what?
0.3. Like what? 0.3?
There's a recycling facility in Wisconsin that has posted that exact speed limit. The Outagamie County Recycling and Solid Waste Facility in Appleton, Wisconsin, rolled out this sign to actually make drivers go like, huh? Excuse me? It's sort of counter this idea where it's just like you're just sort of driving along, and exactly, and this is why a lot of speeding actually happens. Is it's not because you're not following the speed limit, it's just because you got an open road, you think you're fine, and you just keep on accelerating and you go faster. So this really it's meant to snap you back to attention. Yeah. And I think there was a shopping center in Colorado Springs that had an 8.2 speed limit that did the exact same thing. Now it'd be interesting to see how functional this actually is. It's like, I part of me is like, is this isn't distracting. I mean, it's not like so bizarre that everybody's going to go, what? And then but
I think what it does is it just makes you conscious of, because you see it and you're like, oh, wait, 0.3. Like, what speed am I driving at?
How am I going to do this? Yeah.
Well, I would just think, oh, shoot, what am I at? Like, because sometimes you see it and you just sit at the corner of your eye, you're like, yeah, okay. Especially if you're like the road is designed for a certain speed and it's different than the actual posted limit. Normally you're just driving what the speed of the road is actually built for. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah. But having something like this just kind of stand out, you know what I mean? And there's no flashy sign. It doesn't like cost, you don't have this electricity or slow down or any sort of, it's just like a normal road sign. It just says 0.3. And you're like, oh, I've never seen that. Now, if everyone starts doing it, then it kind of loses that wow or that it factor in a sense where you're like, okay, this is kind of normal now. But what I guess something I was wondering when I was reading this and I couldn't really find the answer was, is it even like legal for this is a recycling facility. There was another example in Colorado that was a mall. Like if an Ontario municipality, someone hears this story or he's just talking about it, can they even do that? I don't even know if that's, I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, this is actually the legal aspect that I don't really know about, because I think these are both private facilities. Let's say you have a mall, just like I guess the mall can do whatever they want. They're private. Yeah, that's a good. I think that's a good example. It's like that the Colorado Springs I think was a mall. So this is let's just say Square One has a posted speed limit. Like who enforces the speed limit in that parking lot?
Nobody.
Like the mall cops,
No, they don't enforce speed. It's just there.
No, exactly. Yeah. But it's it's like most people don't really think about that. They see a speed limit and they go, oh, okay, I better slow the hell down. So yeah, it's just sort of a mental.
It's just another, I guess it's just another, the reason why we wanted to showcase this is it's a creative way to talk about, or to get this kind of conversation about speed and speed limits. Obviously here in Ontario, municipalities have recently lost some of their tools to be able to, reduce speed.
Yeah.
So it's again, I don't know if this is something the municipality could technically do, but it would be a conversation starter. We're having a conversation about this now.
There's an expanded conversation about signs in there somewhere. Especially in the context of the very, very big signs. But it brings me back to a good friend of Good Roads, Ken Beer, our friend from Australia, who likes to talk about sign clutter, where it's just you can actually have too many road signs on a road. So if you're posting speed limits and warnings and this and this and that, it can sort of turn into a blur in a lot of drivers' minds. So something like this is like playing within that sort of theory, where it's just something out of the ordinary might stick out.
Yeah, and it's not an additional sign. You're working within something that's already going to be there because it's a speed limit.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right, we're ending that one right on time, gentlemen. Good discussion. Interesting topic. 0.3. What a weird number.
If we went over by 0.3, Jared, on the timing on this, that would be kind of fun or ironic.
Yeah, well, we all know enforcement is, give or take 5 or 10, right?
Yeah. You bribe the
0.5.
cops, and the enforcement goes away.
It's like Jared's got a Grand Theft Auto style approach to
there you go.
speeding.
Being the cop on this show, I will be moving on to the next topic. So, topic number 3, the math is finally working for autonomous trucks. That is fantastic to hear. Anything autonomous is great in my view. Gentlemen, 5 minutes on the clock. Let's hear why this isn't a good thing. Go.
Okay, well, I mean, I didn't say it wasn't a good thing, Jared, but okay, way to frame that before I even started talking. Actually, so I wanted to talk about self-driving trucks. A lot of times we're talking about autonomous vehicles, robo-taxis, that sort of thing. This is kind of outside of that, but similar, and there will be an impact on municipal roads. So I kind of wanted to kind of showcase this week. So technically, self-driving trucks, they've been kind of in a beta testing mode for quite some time now, but now it's becoming more of an economics story in a sense. So Goldman Sachs actually predicts that autonomous trucks will start to cost less per mile than human-driven trucks by 2028. That's just like 2 years from now. So there's one company called Bot Auto that says it's already there. So they have their Houston to Dallas route or run that they've been testing came in at $1.89 per mile versus a $2.26, which is the industry average for human drivers. So there's some projections there that are kind of quite notable, quite significant. Goldman Sachs sees that the global autonomous trucking industry is going to be hitting about $560 billion by 2035, which is larger than the robo-taxi market. But this comes with kind of a series of caveats, right? What does this mean for safety? What does this mean for regulation? What does this mean for labor displacement? And some of these things we've talked about, I think, when it comes to robo taxis, but then other things are kind of maybe more unique to the self-driving trucks or to the autonomous trucks. When I read this, the first thing that came to mind for me was, okay, so if we're going to start replacing human drivers with autonomous trucks, what does that mean for Northern Ontario? We constantly hear, for example, about the trucking industry, or a lot of the problems that have stemmed from in Northern Ontario more recently have been because of a lack of training from some of these truck driving companies, right? And you have drivers who are not trained properly, and they're kind of driving through and causing a lot of these crashes and collisions in Northern Ontario. What happens when you have autonomous trucks? Do the roads actually get safer? I know there's an argument with autonomous vehicles in general that says, yes, our roads will be safer. We will eventually get there. I don't know when that is. But for trucks, will this be a big factor considering how dangerous some of those roads are, especially in Northern Ontario? Will those trucks be able to drive properly and be safe in, like, for example, a Highway 11 or Highway 17 kind of context with this in
winter conditions, or like in winter conditions, or
winter conditions. That's nothing. We're seeing this was a Houston to Dallas run. What happens in a Kapuskasing run?
I think this is like where a lot of these companies are testing in Texas in these sort of like regulation-free, wild west places, but it's also just like a lot of flat landscape. Not a lot of winding roads and mountainous regions and stuff like that.
Yeah, what happens when you're going through Canadian Shield during a snowstorm?
I think we're pretty far away from that, but I think this is actually an important conversation now, because I think this is where we're actually going to see a lot of more movement. The robo taxis make the headlines because they're the ones that people are going to see in the cities, but this is where the movement really is. I think I think we've talked about this briefly, where it's just like, where are they using automated vehicles right now? It's industrial sites, it's in mines, it's like they're moving big trucks, and now they're moving on to like freight, and we're seeing it in Texas. And I think they're doing a lot of this stuff in China as well, where a lot of these technologies are advancing. And yeah, we're seeing a lot more robot trucks out on the road. And we do have a Canadian player in the space as well, Wabi. I don't know. We had Wabi in. I think I had it in one of our also read stories, because they want. So this is a Toronto-based startup that actually operates in that Houston to Dallas corridor. They've been partnering with Uber Freight. And now they want to get into the robotaxi space. This was news from a couple of months ago, but yeah, I think these are the ones who are like really getting a lot of the technology tested out on the roads right now. So, but I think the big issue on the Canadian side of things is definitely going to be the labor front. We're talking about, whenever these things comes up, it's always jobs that set off the alarm bells.
But I will say this, though, Andrew, when compared to, and I know, sorry, we're out of time, but compared to autonomous vehicles, the trucking industry actually has had a very tough time attracting people into that industry. So I don't know, maybe, and a lot of these companies, I think, end up getting temporary foreign workers because of that. So maybe it's not like there will be an impact, but maybe it won't be as pronounced, I guess, as in the cities here or in more urban areas where there's more people doing that, or it's not as hard.
I'll be very interested to see how that is, because exactly, and that's sort of stems to some of the problems where it's just like people are not being trained properly, and they're just like people are playing hard and loose with licenses and stuff like that. And that is another conversation that I think we should have on this podcast in the future. That's something I need to get to know about. We should talk to our good friend Mark Wilson, who is involved in that space. I think that's a good topic to talk about in the future.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Fantastic, gentlemen. Let's wrap it up right there. Great conversation, Mr. Thomas. You proved me wrong. There's a lot of good stuff in autonomous vehicles and autonomous trucking in the future. I'm looking forward to it. One thing I do wonder, though, especially talking about jobs and having trouble hiring Canadian workers for truckers, is I know autonomous trucks have been a conversation back when I was still in high school, back in 2003. It was the start of the conversation, but I mean, for 20 years, if you're being told your job's going to be taken by a robot, I don't see many people getting into it.
No, I know. I mean, that's the common transportation trend in here. We've been hearing about high-speed rail for 20 or 30 years too. So
on that one.
But yeah, no, it's. Yeah, if you're hearing about that, then I think in Canada jobs will be pretty safe, because figuring out, like you said, the snow and the winter and the adverse conditions will be a bigger deal than the flatlands of Texas.
And definitely in the beginning, if things do move here, I think there'll be like strong caveats. So like if you want to operate here, there's got to be some sort of safeguard for jobs. There's got to be like a human there, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure that's the only way that it'll actually play out.
Yeah. Or they're only allowed to drive in southern Alberta and Saskatchewan, where everything's still flat.
Exactly, still flat,
right.
And like less regulatory burdens, and again the Wild West.
Right. Well, those are our 3 topics for this week. Let's move on to our something fun. Once again, Mr. Thomas has something fun that he has not told us about, so get your shocked face ready, Mr. Andrew. And let's hear it, Mr. Thomas.
I guess, honestly, maybe I'm just Mr. Fun, but you guys never have anything to contribute to this in terms of topics. So I feel like I've become like the fun guy here. Anyway, so and this maybe I thought about this maybe a couple of minutes ago. Maybe this would have been a better story for next week, more appropriate for next week leading into the long weekend. But this is something I saw on social media, and this is actually from a few years ago, actually, probably a while back, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it in a while. And I guess it's kind of, I want to talk about Canadianisms a little bit. So I guess like the question I would ask you guys is, what would you call a place that people kind of escape to on long weekends? You know what I mean? Because apparently, depending on where you grew up, you might as well be like, you might have a different word for it. Now, Andrew, you grew up in Alberta. In Southern Ontario, we call it a cottage. What do you guys call it in Alberta?
We call it a cabin.
Cabin. Okay.
Yeah.
So apparently from BC to Manitoba, there's this map that, again, this came out a while ago. From BC to Manitoba, it's called a cabin. In Southern Ontario, it's called a cottage. Our friends up in Northern Ontario, what do you think they call it?
Yurts? No, I don't know.
Apparently they just call it, it's a camp. They just call it a camp.
Yeah. Okay.
Heading up to the camp this weekend. So that's what they call it.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting. Like most Albertans, their cottage country is actually in BC. So I wouldn't be surprised if this all started in BC. So it's just like, I have aunts. They go out to
apparently
the
from BC to Manitoba, it's just called cabin.
Yeah. So and I when I moved to Ontario, I kept on saying cabin, and I don't know, if cottage country sounds, or like calling it a cottage, it makes me think of cottage country, which makes me think of like these aren't cabins, like they're they're just houses. They're just houses in the woods with full electricity and cable.
A canoe.
When I hear cottage, I think on the water.
Yeah. Like exactly. Like you're on a lake somewhere.
Yeah. When I hear camp, like camping can mean one of two things, like tent out in the forest or like a hunting.
That's the thing.
Camp.
It's not camping. There's a difference. It's camp.
Camp.
When I hear camp, I think hunting camp. So like you've got you've got a cabin, but you use it as your main point for going out hunting.
Right.
Yeah. I associate cottage, the word cottage country, with like the money in the northwestern or northeastern United States. Like, we're going out to the cottage in the Hudson Valley or something like that.
Summer at the cottage.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think just the Ontario people have co-opted it because they just want to be fancy.
Yeah. But in Quebec, they call it a chalet.
Okay. Well, I mean, everything sounds more fancy when you call it a chalet.
I was gonna say that sounds fancier. It sounds like there's like fondue and wine or something on a balcony in the Laurentian.
The only chalets that we had when I was growing up was the Swiss chalet. So
there you go.
Kind of cheapens the word a little bit.
That's really funny. But the one thing that I would say is that was completely like kind of quirky for me out of all of them is apparently in some of the maritime, actually I wouldn't even say some of the maritimes, mostly I think it's just Cape Breton Island. According to this map that I've been kind of referencing, they call it a bungalow.
Okay. All right.
To me, I'm like, a bungalow is just a single story house.
Yeah, exactly. As somebody who grew up in a bungalow, it's like, I don't need to get away to one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got cabin, cottage, camp, chalet, and bungalow. And it's funny, you would think maybe like Newfoundland or something, they'd be completely different, but it's just Cape Breton Island.
If we could understand Newfoundland, I'm sure we'd be thinking the exact same thing.
Well, next time I go to Cape Breton, I should get I'll keep my eye out for a nice bungalow in the
Yeah.
Oh, leave it to people east of Quebec to. We have no idea what you're talking about,
but we love them regardless.
Yeah. First they want to toll their borders. Now they want to get a bungalow. No, I'm just.
Honestly, they're one of the most unique parts of Canada, and despite all the crap people give them, I love them, and it's fun to joke about them. But if you disparage them at all, especially in the South, we will fight you to the death.
That is correct, Jared. I like that. That is, I could not agree more.
From BC to Newfoundland, we are one Canada. All right, should we wrap it up there before we get ourselves in any more trouble?
I think that's a good place to end it off, Jared.
All right, gentlemen. It was good to have you back. Looking forward to more next week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on YouTube or even listening on Spotify, give us a like, leave us a comment. We love to hear from you. Any questions, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Our courses are wrapped up for the summer, so have fun in the summer, but look at our fall courses, goodroads.ca/education. All of our fall courses are available. Snow School is coming up in September. That's definitely something you do not want to sleep on. Winter does not wait for the summer. It is planning its vengeful return for next year, and I hope it's not nearly as bad as it was this year. Yeah, if you have any questions or concerns, drop us a comment in the YouTube comment section. Give us a like, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And until next time, everybody, take it easy.